Early stage product launches from both the consumer and the seller side, and lifetime subscriptions. All right, so when I'm talking about lifetime subscriptions, I'm talking about SaaS, right? We're going to get a little sassy. Software as a service or a subscription. I've heard it both ways. I believe it's actually software as a service, but that's fine. So what this is a tool or solution. You're probably already using a bunch of them out there to manage your business, run your business. It's analogous to Netflix, really. You're paying a monthly subscription to something. And it's a pricing model and selling model that differs from the old school way of selling a piece of software and buying a piece of software. When I started using Adobe Photoshop in 1999, I may or may not have received that copy legitimately, but it was a standalone piece of software that was paid for once and used once in theory. Now you pay a monthly subscription to utilize that software or service.
And I have to say to you, Jonesy, it's all right because I pay for Lightroom every month and I paid for it for years now. So they're getting their money. Don't worry about it. Adobe. Oh, and Microsoft. I screwed up and accidentally I was going to switch just to Open Office. I screwed up and let my Microsoft Office 365 renew for like $120. So I mean, it's only $10 a month, which is great. But when they hit you at $120 all at once, it's like, oh, fudge.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and now I'm going to drop my other tip in there. If you still have a college email address, which now getting my associate's degree when I was age 33 paid off because I kept that email address and I get 365 on the beautiful student discount for the price of nothing.
Way to poor. Is that because I've got all the lifesavers? You're just gonna be passive aggressive with me today?
Pretty much.
Is that how
Yeah.
this is gonna?
Yeah.
It's
And
fine.
I don't see Microsoft crying poor to me either, but that's besides
No.
the point. So we'll
Yes.
get back into it. As on Conversion Chemistry, we like to deep dive into tools, strategies, and solutions to empower our entrepreneur friends in the marketing space. Um, so, all right, back to lifetime subscriptions. Why do they exist is because typically in an early stage of product or service release, a business wants money fast. What do we talk about in the 9+1 entrepreneurial mistakes is not getting to that first sale fast. What better way to get to that first sale fast and get some early money is to sell an early iteration of your product or even a full iteration of your product at a steeply discounted price. So a lot of our entrepreneurs probably see, or now they will, because the algorithm is going to tag them, is, oh, lifetime offer, $197 for, this piece of software, for this social media management tool, for this automation that's, will combine all your social medias into one platform, for this video editing tool, blah, 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 blah. Versus paying a monthly subscription of, say, $29 a month. So after 2 years, you're getting quote unquote free service because you were an early adopter. When applied properly, it truly is a win-win because that new business or launching their new product, could be an established business as well, of course, gets early sales, and revenue is, line going up means money. Pretty tried and true. And then you take that revenue and reinvest it into advertising, into more product development, into other marketing channels. You also get the benefit of early testimonials and market penetration. So that's one of the other strategies is for an established company with a new piece of software is to, gain market share where there's already a competing product, right?
Yeah, and one of the other things, Jonesy, is it's also a way of testing your minimum viable product, because if you start out with a product that works and does what it's supposed to do, you can get feedback from these early adapters and reward them for helping you, by giving them that discounted price in the beginning. So it just makes, like you say, when it's done properly, it's win, win, win. Everybody wins.
Yeah, exactly. Beta testing is another good use case for it. A lot of beta testing is still free, but not for the public. So the times where I would use beta testing would be on an MVP rather than a true beta, I guess. And none of these terms have scientific definitions. My beta release is whatever I say is my beta release. It has to do with how it's released and who is using it at the time. So if my MVP, my minimum viable product, is literally viable, it is usable, but it may not be 100% perfect. Yeah, I could charge a fee for it, but granted, not full pop, like you said, and then get the feedback and reward those early adopters with continued maintenance, updates, support, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that now the regular user a year down the road is paying full pop for.
Right. And I think those beta testers and early adopters, if you will, and again, like we say, the language is subjective. Um, if they're going to be more forgiving than, your end customer that's paying list price or retail, like you say, a year or two down the road. They're really looking for you to deliver at that point. And I'm not saying there's any excuse for sloppiness or bad code, but hey, how do you test the car? You're driving it. How do you fly? How do you test a plane? You're flying it. How do you know your software works and does everything it's supposed to do? You get it out there and you get people working on it. That's what you do. And it's like we say, it's win-win-win.
Right. That's a really good point about finding the bugs and issues that otherwise may not have been discovered because different users are going to have different situations and use cases that you can't come up with in a lab. That's why we have car recalls 5 years later. That's the very extreme circumstance, and there's actuaries and usually disaster involved in that. But at least in software, hopefully we're not killing people.
Nothing's exploding on my end, I
Right. No,
hope.
me either. The only thing that was exploding, and this is a great segue, is how much I've profited from a few strategic lifetime subscription purchases. Now,
You were you were telling me about this, and it's insane. These
yeah,
numbers are insane, dude.
my parameters for buying a lifetime subscription of something, and I do not do it often. I don't do it often because there's reasons not to that we'll get into. But when I do, I usually, well, no, I always vet the company that's offering it. What's their situation? How long have they been around? What other software do they have? And what's their reputation like? So for these two examples, this is specifically in the WordPress website development and hosting space, which is what my marketing agency I run does. So a couple of years ago, when I was building out my processes, changing from freelancer to agency to actual solutions provider built on systems. Um, and the way these came across my radar is it was actually like a Black Friday sale for both of them. So that's another way is to, and that's a market share thing, is to create insane sales. That's a steep discount off of a regular subscription. This case, it was yearly. I purchased two lifetimes over instead of renewing yearly. The first is a WordPress theme called Generate Press. It was recommended to me about 4 years ago or so as a very clean, lightweight, but highly customizable theme. And boy, howdy, was it, is it, and continues to be. Now, there's I don't want to say an uproar, but there's been a paradigm shift in the WordPress development and design space about the Gutenberg block builder replacing the classic editor in WordPress. I couldn't be happier about it because it now allows us to build websites a lot more intuitively and allows our users to add, create, and edit content a lot easier than with the classic editor. It's still kind of in its infancy stage, this Gutenberg block editor, and a lot of the, I guess, more traditional designers are not happy with it, but there's ways to get around that, which I'll talk about. So this theme is now the lifeblood of probably 95% of the WordPress projects myself and my agency work on. Lifetime subscription, $247 after I paid $50 initially for it or something like that. Then the other one is the stackable block editor, which builds CSS editing layers and predefined blocks and designs on top of this Gutenberg editor, which means it's tapping directly into the WordPress core and not being a full page editor like Elementor. No shade against Elementor. I still use it for many projects that a lot of my clients prefer to use and want to use. It is more powerful, but it is an entire layer over and above the WordPress core that has its pitfalls. But back to the subject at hand here with lifetime subscriptions. I bought 2 lifetime subscriptions totaling less than $600. Since then, the revenue that's been attached to those 2 products in the 2 years since I've used them as part of a system has been easily over $200,000. That's just
That's
just
amazing.
website building and hosting. So yeah, there's other costs involved, the hosting costs, the staff,
Yeah.
contractors, but if you're just looking at a pathway to fast, easy, and effective revenue, we're talking at least $1,000 ROI, or thousand times ROI,
Yep, 1000%. That's insane.
because the
It's absolutely insane.
use case is okay. So Generate Press, which I then put my own child theme on top of, the T-Bone theme, has out of box about 100 different templates, lightweight templates for pretty much any industry you can think of. Stackable blocks fills in the gaps where you can then customize and build designs and divs and blocks right on top of it. So what I'm getting at is now I've taken this one raw material and split it 97,000 ways to Sunday and then resold it to my clients as a solution. And some of the older school designers will say, "Oh, well, you're just selling them templates." You know what? The end user, the customer, doesn't give a crap if your template's been used 1 time or 100 times. They want the information that they want, and they want it now. So
Well,
I'm not
exactly.
selling
Yeah.
cookie cutter websites. We're still getting in depth with copywriting and brand kitting and logoing and colors and language. So at the end of the day, the content is completely unique. It's just the template that, has been reused. And let's face it, the analytics say of all of the clients I manage, 85% plus are mobile users, according to Google Analytics. So that's data that cannot be refuted. Everybody is just scrolling, 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 scrolling. So cool, 10 years ago, having all these nice flashy sites with pop animations and parallax effects and Lottie animations and all that stuff. It looks very nice on desktop, but now it's a much smaller chunk of your user base. So the point is that I made it successful because I'm still delivering a very highly valuable solution to my clients by strategically purchasing a lifetime product. Now that is kind of an extreme case. I don't expect everybody to 1000x their investment on a particular subscription, but
Hmm.
it can be used properly as a tool to increase your revenues because you can automate things or do it more efficiently. Frank, I think you're muted.
Do what? Can you hear
Now
me
you're
now?
not muted. Yeah, please continue.
Well, well, what I'm saying is software like this is worth it, even if you buy it just for your own company or your own business or your own endeavors, because it's so easy to create stuff where otherwise you would need a classic programmer or whatever. There's a lot of good things about WordPress that, you know, people say this and that, but man, it sure changed up. I mean, I can still write HTML, but I don't do it for fun, that's for sure anymore, you know?
No, but we do it still in email marketing is go back and write HTML. And that's why learning that in 1997 was great, because then we can jump into code and fix some pretty obvious things. But the whole idea of things like WordPress, which runs about 40% of the internet, including whitehouse.gov, if I'm not mistaken, is that it takes the mental effort and strain uh, and output away from that design aspect. And I don't want to knock design. Design's still a very important function, but it automates that which can be and should be automated. And templates, that's that which should be and could be based on best practices, where then we, the creators, the designers, developers, and marketers can focus on the messaging. And
Exactly. It puts the power in your hands because absolutely, and we talked about this in the 9+1 mistakes. I mean, outsource and hire people. But I mean, geez, if all you want to do is start a blog, and these WordPress themes will do the trick, like you say, you know,
yeah,
it's not that complicated to set up.
right. And so there's an example of how I profited highly from using that. And now those two companies, especially Generate Press, they caught fire. I see them recommended everywhere as a lightweight theme to implement on WordPress that pretty much works with any block editor. Uh, I've never had a plugin conflict with Generate Press, so that paid off for them just from a market share standpoint and exposure. And I assume because they sold me a lifetime subscription, they're not hurting, right? Because how many have they sold, and how many people may still be paying yearly? I don't know, but they've exploded. Same as Stackable. There's a lot of block building editors out there, but they are constantly updating their product. They've got a private Facebook community for premium members that they literally have two reps that go in there, and you can bring them any custom issues you're having, and they'll either tell you how to fix it, B, fix it for you, or C, say, holy crap, we never encountered this. Let's go back to the engineering team and come up with a workaround. Then you'll see your plugin needs to be updated 2 days later because they patched a particular problem. So that's the type
Right.
of community that you would expect out of a lifetime subscription, the way you were describing it in the first part of the segment.
Yeah, well, that's why you say do your homework, because you want to find a company that's got some kind of a record or whatever. Now, I know there's a flip side to that, and I'll leave that for you to cover, but
Yes,
what
thank you, Sir. What was it, Sir Isaac? Every action has an equal and opposite
opposite
reaction.
reaction, Isaac
Yeah,
Newton.
yeah. Well,
Yes.
the apple
Now the
must fall on
opposite,
your head,
yeah,
but
yeah, the opposite and equal action is what, Jonesy? Tell us about that.
well, that would, you know what? We name and fame here, where we give credit to the businesses, organizations, tools, platforms that do it right by their customers, because that's something that's part of our core belief. We're going to name and shame a platform called HeroPost today. HeroPost is a tool that's used to, it's mostly used by social media managers, marketing agencies, anybody or any entity that's managing multiple social media platforms on multiple accounts on multiple platforms. So
Right.
even a small social media manager may have 10 Facebook pages, half a dozen Instagram accounts, a couple LinkedIn's, and some YouTubes, and hopefully every one of them has a Google business profile. So some comparable products are like Hootsuite or Buffer, which came out a long time ago, but they're positioned more for bigger agencies and therefore have a much higher monthly subscription. So they are great and powerful tools, but probably not good for solopreneurs or small agencies. So HeroPost had been around for a few years, and that's kind of a lead up to why I decided to buy their Black Friday deal at $197 for lifetime, because again, at 29 to 49 a month, after 2 years, it's bought and paid for.
Oh yeah,
And
and
that's something
plus,
that we can use in our business, my marketing agency business, where my staff, subbies, and VAs can all use that tool, and I don't have to give them access to 5 dozen accounts. Cool.
plus, you said that you knew the company and they'd been around for a bit, right?
They had, and this is where they'd been around for about 3 years, and I'd seen some mixed reviews, but I figured at that stage maybe this is their next push into the next round, where they're selling this deal. The platform works decent enough. It's missing some features that I would have liked to have seen, like sub accounts. It's pretty much all or nothing. Like you can make subgroups based on brands, but there's no real access control in there where some other tools have that. But again, if I have, a staff member and a VA who would have access to all my stuff anyway, it's not a deal breaker for me. And it was worth testing out. So for a few months, it worked out decently enough. There's still other tools I'd recommend, but it worked okay. So I was happy enough with it. Out of nowhere, I got a bunch of sales emails from HeroPost talking about lifetime members are now invited to get 85% off our new version of the platform.
Ruh-roh.
So I'm like, what's up with that? So I go to log in. The dashboard to my lifetime access is gone. My username and password are no longer. I had to register a new username and password, but
Oh,
they still
dude.
knew that I was a lifetime member, so they were allowing me to the privilege of purchasing a monthly subscription now at 85% off, which it was something like $30 a month, which honestly probably worth it if you're an SMMA or a marketing agency. But that was a slap in the face to somebody who should have been treated well as an early adopter. Well, in a couple of Reddit and Facebook groups, this caught fire. All of us went to, well, I in particular went to the HeroPost Facebook page, which had not a whole lot of activity on it. It was getting slammed by people in the same situation as me, saying, we bought Lifetime, blah, 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 blah. You promised us this. Is that how you treat people? In turn, they ended up like blocking all of us. So then there was
That's great.
a cat named Sean who started HeroPost is a Scam, the Facebook group, where we just kind of combined to, at that stage, all of us were marketers. So, $197 one time, that's a write-off for a lesson. But we're also marketers. So we like to talk about the good and the bad and the ugly. And a lot of us come from an IT background, which means we're nerds. And nerds sometimes take passion projects and spend a lot of time on stuff that otherwise we wouldn't pay attention to at all. So, right. So good job, HeroPost, on scorning a group of people who are experts at delivering messages and reputation management. You're going down. So that's we kind of took a couple days of fun of just smearing them any way we could and seeing what PR might have come out of it. And all that really happened was HeroPost coming out with a few broad messages to, I guess, those of us on their list who were lifetime members, opening up the old product back for us to use, and restoring the dashboard, all that stuff, basically giving us the old product, but they're still shoving the 85% off down our throats. So that was a tremendously missed opportunity for them. All right, so they screwed up the first time. They had a chance to
Right.
say, you know what, we effed up. Here's complimentary lifetime subscription to the new platform. That's it.
Yeah.
Never
And
happened.
and on the internet, man, word travels fast. You screw up,
Right.
word gets out. People don't sit there and go, "Oh, let me think about this a week. What should I say or do?" They go,
Yep.
especially nerds, man. Nerds
Oh
get
yeah.
angry too.
Yeah,
Don't get
absolutely.
the
Yeah.
nerd angry to, on the internet. It's bad news.
Oh, they're
So they had a
so
chance to
powerful
show.
behind that keyboard.
This was a nerd myself. I can say that, you know. But I'm a more of a marketing nerd than a technology nerd. But I'm still a nerd. I'd like to point that out.
Mhm.
So anyway, so keep going with that. So then that's what you're saying. That's what's not to do.
That is
That is what is not to do.
from a seller standpoint, from a business standpoint, absolutely not. There
Right.
were so many botches that occurred right there that I've lost count and really became disinterested in it at that point, except to now have a new rhetoric about the whole lifetime subscription thing. And
Well, the thing there, Jonesy, is this. That is a lesson for people that if you mess up, honestly, handle your mess honestly, and people may have mercy on you. But if you try to make it that, oh, you're in a Cadillac, now I'm selling you a Chevy, and by the way, you can't buy it, it's a rental. And that's, people are going to kind of see through that. That's not really a good way of running a business. I mean,
right.
I guess the only thing I would say, what were they thinking? But I guess they weren't thinking, could be the only answer.
Yeah, so somebody had done a little digging on the background of the company that owned HeroPost, and they apparently have a bit of a checkered past when it comes to this type of behavior, which that's on me for not putting in my due diligence to suss that out. But at the same time, even a bad company 10 years ago can become a good one. I mean, look at Domino's Pizza. Now, I'm not saying Domino's is, you're a pizza snob, that Domino's is anything to, you know, uh,
I'm going to bite my
serve on a
tongue
silver
here.
platter. But 15 years ago or so, Domino's was pretty bad and laughable. Then the new CEO comes in and launches this rebranding campaign where they say, "Hey, we cheaped out on ingredients to save money. That was on us, not on you guys." And they owned it, and that was part of the rebrand. So they went service based and asking customers what they want and really working on quality control, quality assurance, and standardizing. Right? It's still Domino's, but they were taking a Chick-fil-A like approach to it, which is best of class. So yeah, for fast food pizza, Domino's completely turned a disaster into a completely good situation for that company, and apparently the people that like Domino's.
And see, here I am. If it's fast food pizza, it's either Little Caesars or Papa John's, not Domino's or Pizza Hut. But that's just me. Hashtag them, and maybe they'll send you like a case of pizzas.
I'll eat it, especially after hockey at midnight with a couple beers in me. Yeah.
Just if there's not a White Castle nearby, right? It's
Mhm.
the thing that'll blot some of that stuff up inside of you.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
got you. So, okay, so what else do we want to cover on this one, Jonesy? Because
Well,
we conveniently enough, we have some I guess SAS ourselves, don't we?
sure. I mean, look, this is conversion chemistry for our premium members for access to all of our courses, resources, vault, swipe files, access, high level access to you and I, Frank, as coaches. There's a subscription. Um, and because it is a valuable service we provide. So, with that in mind, we are also in the early stages of this platform. So we do offer a lifetime subscription at a very steep discount right now. Why? Because, well, we just said when done properly, it's a way to gain entry into the market, to gain early users. We're transparent about that, of course. Is it the price that we're offering a little silly? Sure, but we want to grow and we want to grow fast. That's part of the blueprint. It's what we teach our students, users, subscribers. So with that in mind, people may be asking themselves, well, what the heck? How do I know that you two are going to stand by your word for a lifetime subscription? From
What's a
my perspective, it's because I am constantly a student of marketing myself, and conversion chemistry keeps me honest, keeps me hungry for more knowledge that I can then pass on to students and learners. I do run a few companies, so you can find me and suss me out if you think you're not getting your value for it. And we do stand by our full refund policy and making it right for you. Frank, you have a bit of a different set of values, as not different, but complementary set of values as to why you are trustworthy to sell a lifetime subscription to something.
I've been doing this for 26 years, and I haven't gone anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I've weathered every storm there is in this business. Canned spam laws back in 2005. Not that we were spamming, but it affected everybody. We went from single opt-in to double opt-in. Peak years of affiliate programs, Amazon, you name it. I've been there and I've done it and I've seen the movie, and sometimes written a book about it. So I'm not going anywhere. This is my name. I mean, there's only one Frank Aaron on the internet. And as I look around, evidently that's me. So yeah, I'm not going anywhere. And why would I? It's not, I made my money years ago, and I told you this, Jonesy, by picking up the phone and giving people my phone number, not just, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but not just like hiding behind a autoresponder. Some guys thought it was cool to hide behind the technology, and I don't mean hide in a bad way, but what I mean is, hey, this is the internet. Why should I interface with the human being? Let's let the computer do all the work. I never was like that, man. I'm like, hey, you have a problem and you're one of my people, you're one of my tribe, call me up, email me. Here's my number. Here's the same cell phone my wife and kids call me on. So to this day, I do that. Every newsletter, right at the bottom, says call me, you know?
Yeah, and
So
people
I
people think we're crazy to do that, but I don't know. It seemed to work so far for me, and I'm only not even near deeply involved at this stage as you have been.
it was accidental, but it was one of my best career moves, man. That and being a bankrupt truck driver when I got started were two things that I couldn't have, if I had like an agent or a producer, those are two things that I think they would have said is just, hey, be your authentic self, have a 9 to 5 grind, and driving a tractor trailer is definitely a 9 to 5 grind. And it's not always 9 to 5, believe me. I had plenty of 5 and 6 a.m. starts, plenty of 8 and 9 at night, and I drove over the road for a little while too. So my point is, you're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. We are, matter of fact, somebody wants to see us in person. It's very easy to do too, because once a month we're at Ken MacArthur's mastermind, you know. So yeah, that's all I can say. I mean, we're here, we're not going anywhere.
We operate on full
And
transparency and authenticity.
it's like me with the lifesavers over here. And Jonesy with his Pizza Hut. We gotta talk to you about that, babe.
These Domino's, and believe me, I'm not shilling for
Domino's.
Domino's. You know
Well
me,
said.
I buy all my pizza from independent restaurants.
As it should be.
Right.
Except in an emergency, when you're traveling in another city and the pizza gods come calling, who do you try? Something tried and true, like Papa John's, for example.
See, I
Or,
still go the opposite. I'm still going to ask the locals.
well, I can see the sense in that because I was in Austin, Texas on business last October. And oh man, I wish I could pull the name of the place up, but there is this good pizza downtown Austin, just over the bridge on like the southeastern side of Austin, and it was so good when I was there. I ate there 2-3 times in a week. That's how good it was. I'm gonna have to find it. I'm gonna have to hashtag them and tell them how good they are.
You should. They deserve it.
Well, I will, Jonesy. So you keep talking, and I'll start Googling.
Well, the only other thing I was going to say is that that's where I think you and I differ is even though I love pizza, if I'm spending a week in Austin, Texas, I'm eating barbecue no less than 9 times.
Yeah, I can understand it. Well, I had barbecue too while I was there, over in New Braunfels. We had I can't remember the name of that place either. Having a senior moment here.
Well, then how about we'll wrap up in a couple minutes, but you do talk about seeing us in person at the Impact Family Mastermind once a month, which if you log on to ken1day.com, that is based on our mentor and mastermind leader, Ken MacArthur. We meet in Newtown, Pennsylvania on the last Tuesday of every month. And what do we have for lunch, Frank?
Pizza. And where do we have it?
Francesco's in Newtown, PA.
That's right off the bypass. You can't beat Francesco's. Served fast, served hot, and served good. Delicious. So we love you, Francesco's. Big shout out.